now we're on. So Marvin, first off, thanks for taking the time to join me, man. It means so much to have you on the show. So first off, just want to say thank you so much. Um, for those who for those who maybe are new to you or don't really know you, if you want to talk a little bit about what your some of your accomplishments are in boxing and where you are today in boxing.
Yeah, my name is Marvin Somodio. I'm a boxing trainer. I came from the Philippines and I learned from Freddie Roach and Manny Pacquiao and uh, more like a lot of fighters, you know, up and coming and world champions and former world champions. I've been training professional fighters since 2012.
Yeah. Interesting thing you pointed out too is you said I learned from Freddie Roach and I learned from Manny Pacquiao. I saw an interview where you said you're like, yeah, when I first started doing this at Wildcard, I was learning on the job. I was watching Pacquiao and kind of learning from him. What were some of the things that when you first started and had that exposure that you felt like you were learning?
Yeah, when the first time I met them, they were training in the Philippines, where the gym where I came from. I was teaching regular clients just for fitness. But I was a former amateur boxer also, member of Philippine national team. So after boxing, after fighting, I thought I already know everything. But
Yeah,
after I met Freddie and Manny, there's so many things, in boxing that I didn't know.
yeah. So, um, you know, that has to be really. I mean, because from what I understand, and I've been to the Philippines once. I went to three different islands out there, and the thing that I came to understand is like at one point in time, maybe it still is. Manny was like one of the most famous people in the Philippines. So, what was it like
I think,
to have them training in the gym and then be? I'm assuming they approached you. They saw something and then approached you. So what was that like?
yeah, the first time I met, I mean, back then, Manny is like, I think he was the most famous, I think, until now, most famous person in the Philippines. And I got starstruck when I met him, when I saw him the first time. Him and Freddie Rhodes, actually. So, yeah. And then, yeah, when they had their camp and I was in charge in that gym, Shape Up Boxing Gym, and my former boss told me to help them, give them what they need. And one day, Freddie saw me training my clients, and then he was giving me advice, helping me, and they hired sparring partners from the U.S. and brought them to the Philippines for Manny Pacquiao, but didn't have trainers with them.
Yeah.
So Freddie asked me if I can help them, and that's the start.
Were you before that? Were you like training fighters, like training, or was it more like fitness? Like had you gone through training fighters in fights before that training camp?
Yeah, just training regular clients, and then after I met them, I started training professional boxers.
At the time, I mean, but was that? I mean, what was that like to be invited to do that? I mean, that had to have blown your mind, right?
Yeah, back then I was not confident, because I know myself. I know I'm not ready for that job. But since I was with them every day, I developed and I learned and I started to understand training, like professional boxing.
When Freddie first saw you, what do you think he noticed that you were doing, or what was it about your approach where they became keen to you and wanted to work with you more?
Yeah, I think he noticed me when they trained, uh, when him and Manny was training, like, during mid-work. The next day, he's seeing me doing the same thing with my clients, and and then he saw, hey Marvin, he told me, Marvin, that's my move. I said,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm just doing the right thing. And then he just laughed and
got it. So he noticed that you essentially were picking up his own process without him necessarily,
yeah,
telling you to
uh,
do it.
mm, yeah, and I'm a very good observant, I don't, even at the gym when there's sparring, when there's training, I don't really talk too much because I try to analyze, I try to understand the movement and the situation.
What? So that's really interesting. So I'm guessing that so they come. He takes a liking to you, and then is there a conversation where they say, "Hey, how would you like to come with us to LA?" Like, does it happen pretty quickly from there?
Actually, the first camp they had in the Philippines back in 2009, they were trying to get me, but I just can't get my visa.
Of course.
So it took them three times before I made it.
Oh wow. So they've been
Yeah,
trying for quite some. That's what the gap was from 2009
yeah,
to 2012.
yeah. And finally, Manny Pacquiao helped me.
That's awesome. So you it seems like he recognized that you were very observant. You could learn rapidly, like within a day. You were doing his own moves and stuff. What what were some of the things you were learning early on? Like when you would watch Freddie working with Manny in the Philippines, what were the things that you noticed that sort of changed the way that you did pad work?
It's just like basic, it's a basic thing that we see every day, but we don't notice, we don't understand, because I like when I was fighting in amateur, I just do things that I didn't really know what's the purpose of it.
Yeah.
Like the angles on the ropes, it's like the ring generals. Yeah, and then like I remember like almost every day I learned something new.
And how much of because I mean obviously everyone does pad work.
Hmm.
Trainers from first day to 20 years, everyone's doing pad work. How much of the pad work is just getting them to throw a certain combination, and how much of it is positioning them to have to work a certain angle, or trying to, like if it's a southpaw and an orthodox, trying to cut the foot off, or how much of it is your own footwork holding the pads to sort of play off of the fighter?
Yeah, a lot of people they have different style of holding the mitts. They have fancy combinations and you know like hand speed and but that's their style. But me, I'm more on my foot movement. It's so the fighters follow my pattern, and no, I just try the basic thing, like the thing that is happening in the fight. That's the way I hold the mitts. Just like Freddie, because I learned from him.
Yeah. So one thing I noticed too that you and I think Freddie does this as well is sometimes you'll have them they'll throw the combination on the mitts, and then I'll
Hmm.
notice at some point they'll finish, but they'll kind of like tap your face. It's like a punch, but not really.
Yeah,
Why is that? Why is it that versus just having them hit the mitt?
I just to remind the fighters that the opponent they have hands too, and you're not the only one who can throw punches. Your opponent after your combinations, the counter is always there. So make sure to protect yourself right after your combinations or before.
The one, this is something I've heard other trainers say. Um, they don't like holding mitts because it's not like natural. Because if I were to punch a face, it'd be a jab, straight, hook, pretty much in the same spot, right? The head could move a little, but it's all
Hmm.
going to be in one spot. But with the
Yeah.
pads, it's jab, straight, hook. It kind
Hmm.
of is like you're not going to punch a face here and here. Do you
Yeah.
have you noticed that, or is there something that you do
No,
differently to offset that?
yeah, it depends, you have to hold the mitts like closer to each other, close to each other. So it's not gonna be like too wide.
Yeah,
So it's like the size of the head or body. And some trainers they don't want to hold the mitts because that's maybe that's their style, or maybe they just hurt, their shoulders. my shoulders are hurting, but that's the way I train my fighters. So I just have to endure the pain because I know that when I hold the mitts, I feel like I I train them more effective.
Yeah, I'd imagine, and you can get them to do exactly what you want them to do. You can force them into
Yeah,
certain punches and positions that you can't necessarily make them do it in sparring. And I'd imagine in sparring it's
yeah,
harder for them to change a behavior. They sort of have to practice it before they have real punches coming at them.
yes, yes. You know, sometimes you just have to imitate or follow the opponent's habits. You know, when you study film, you know, you have to watch what kind of combination, what kind of punches that hit the opponent often. It's like you can't do that in sparring because the sparring partners are not exactly the same as your opponent.
Yeah.
So we just have to, I let them practice on the mitts. But there's so many ways to train fighters, not just holding the mitts, you know. You just have to be creative, and if you see that in sparring is working, then you just have to keep doing it. Some people they use sticks, some people they use the paddle or a heavy bag, you know.
Have you ever tried to do it with like the paddles or the I know what you're talking about,
Yeah,
the sticks.
yeah. I try sometimes, you know, because sometimes same thing every day is like make your fighters bored, you know.
Yeah. What are things if you're when you're running your own training camp? What are things that you'll do? Because championship fight, 8 weeks is a long time for someone to be focused on something, and I can imagine it
Yeah.
gets brutal. How do you mix it up and keep it fun for a fighter?
Yeah, just make sure that you don't overtrain them. You know, but overtraining is worse than like uh, missing days. Or so just make sure they're healthy every day and be creative with your training.
Yeah,
You know, in training, I'm not too serious. Like
yeah,
I almost you know, tell jokes and give them motivation, remind them that why they're doing this. You know,
yeah.
you can't get bored if you are motivated.
So when you say that, when you talk about reminding them why they do it, does that come down to the obvious things like being a world champion or winning this fight, or is it bigger picture, perhaps like what they want to do for their family, or where they want to be in 5 years? Like how do you approach that motivational aspect?
Uh, just it depends the what what's the situation you know comes. So everything is timing. You give them instructions, you motivate them. Like it depends with what kind of situation they're facing or happening. So everything is timing. You know, if they're doing good, you can't really say a lot of things. Yeah. But they're doing bad, then you have to understand they're heartbroken. Sometimes when they get beat up in sparring, sometimes they wake up not feeling good, and then they get discouraged sometimes. But you just have to be positive. Like it's always part of training. In 8 weeks, like how many days? 8 weeks, 2 months. So that's not every day you're gonna perform well.
Yeah,
There's always days that you don't feel good,
absolutely. um
and also like when they're far from their family, they get homesick. Uh, so you have to understand it, and when you understand it, you know what to tell them, and you know what to do for them.
Sure. And I'm sure it helps that it's you came all the way from the Philippines to start in LA. You could probably empathize with them a lot when they're homesick, right? I mean, I'm sure that's something that you've been through yourself, and you can relate to them.
Yes, yes. Uh, it's like it's a big part of camp, like distraction. you're homesick, when you have problems, you're having a baby, your family, like it's everything.
Yeah,
Boxing is just like life also. You just have to keep fighting.
absolutely. Um, you are, I mean, just from talking to you, you're a very, very calm guy, right? Very,
Hmm.
very calm. Do you ever, do you ever like in certain situations and circumstances get maybe a little bit more louder or assertive with your fighters if you when you need to?
Yeah, of course. I'm just human. I have feelings. So I get nervous, I get terrified, afraid
Yeah,
and worry. But as much as possible, I try to be calm because when the fighters see you nervous or worry, then it's not gonna help them.
yeah,
You're gonna make them worry as well. So you just have to make them believe that everything is gonna be okay. Just do what we need to do, and then we can win or we can survive this.
have you always had that very like calm demeanor to you even before training?
Yeah, when I was fighting in amateur, I don't like trainers that yells at me, when they tell me, when they give me instructions, they keep like yelling, screaming, because I know I will try to do it. I'm trying, but sometimes it's just difficult because you're not the only one thinking. Your opponent is thinking as well. So you
Yeah,
you just have to time everything, I want when I was training, when I was fighting, I want my trainer to tell me just once, twice at least, at most, and then I will try to do it. So
yeah,
same thing with the fighters, because some fighters they don't want it.
yeah. That's a great point too, and it's you hear it all the time where someone goes, "You need to throw the jab more. You need to throw the jab," and it's like every
Yeah,
time a guy throws
and
a
your
jab,
opponent
yeah, the
is
opponent,
listening.
yeah.
He's listening. So
Does that ever
yeah,
happen? Do you think there are people who are listening to the TV? You know,
of
because
course, yeah, of course, especially the a higher level, they pay attention.
how do you get up?
But the like 4 rounders, 8 rounders,
Yeah,
sometimes they can't hear anything, because they're so tense. But the elite, like higher level fighters, every word you say, they pay attention. That's why you can't really scream too much.
yeah, that's so true. And that also, if you're screaming instructions in between the rounds, they're gonna definitely hear that. It's one thing if you have them
Yeah.
in the corner, but if you're yelling it
Mhm.
out, then it's like if their corner's smart, they'll listen to it.
Yes. And your fighter, like when you tell them once, twice, if they don't do it, it means they cannot do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, just let them do their thing, like, because they have their own, like, mentality, they have their own mind, They're in the ring, they try to figure it out.
but
And
then
then just once in a while, here and there, you remind them, of course, they need that.
But then what do you do? I mean, if you've given specific instructions in training camp and you're reiterating it in the fight and the fighter fights a totally different fight, how do
Hmm.
you can let him do his thing, but then what do the instructions become, after you've decided we'll let him fight it the way he's fighting it?
Yeah, like, if some things that you work in the gym doesn't work in the fight, uh, it's why we need adjustment. Fighters that know how to make adjustment is always better.
Yeah.
So sometimes you practice a lot of things and, come to the fights, you can't do anything. So it means the opponent, like, they studied you more than you studied them,
Yeah.
you know. So no, at the end of the day, you always have to remember that there's always someone better than you. But the most important is you tried your best. So no matter what is the outcome, you're not get no regret because you tried your best.
Absolutely. Um, that's a good point. It's funny you say that because I was just talking to somebody else about this. How for a while nobody wanted to lose. It's like if you lost in boxing, it was like the worst. At a certain level, it was the worst thing. But then I think about like
Yeah,
Manny's a perfect example of a guy who just he had great fights against great fighters, but then also he had a loss early in his career. He's had losses to Marquez and a loss to Mayweather, and it's like I think it's okay to lose as long as you fight if you fight your best and have a great fight. I mean, you give everything. It's like you'll lose. Sometimes the style is not there. It doesn't match up, and it's okay.
mhm,
You know.
yeah. No, it's not okay to lose.
No, but
Losing is not okay.
yeah, but you know what
But
I'm. There we
it
go.
can happen. It can happen to a lot of people. It's just a matter of how you fight. You lose, you tried your best. You show them that you really want to win. That's okay. But if you lose and you didn't try your best, then that's not good for the fans. And
I was saying, speaking of someone who did everything they could to win, you worked a lot with Ruslan Provodnikov, and he's and when it comes to heart and like will, I don't think there are many on the level that he was on. How do you train a guy like him? What is that like?
no, it's his. No, it's him. It's his style. You don't teach hard. You see how he fights. He just fight. He just fight. You just have to guide him how to like get to the opponent.
Yeah,
He's just a really tough guy, strong chin.
was he the kind of
So
guy?
and that was yeah, that was my early days. That I was inexperienced when I was working with him. Then I just follow whatever Freddie was telling me to do with them, and we became successful especially when we fought the world title against Mike Alvarado. So I was more nervous than the fighter, than Ruslan that time. Yeah,
Ruslan,
he's still.
a guy like him, I'd imagine whatever the game plan would have been probably goes out the door quickly because he gets into a firefight and just goes. Is there like what was it like to try to train him?
Yeah, just I remember we just like train him to be in very good shape, and we have we had strategy also, like like putting pressure and work to the body, more head movement, but it's just hard for him to do it. But at least with training, we add at least like 5%, 10%, on his like ability or skill.
One thing I believe you've spoken about before is heart is the one thing, and this has been in boxing forever, but heart is the one thing you can't teach a fighter, but they must have. How do you know when a fighter has heart? What is it that you see? At what point in their training or working with you can you tell this person has heart and they've got that ability to fight like that?
And number one, if we can tell when they have heart when they get hit, how they react. And number two, when they get so tired, exhausted, and they still, they're still aggressive and keep trying. I think that's how you will find out if a fighter got hurt.
Gotcha.
Like never give up. Some fighters when they get tired, they just quit.
Yeah.
They turn their back and or they just leave the ring.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in that regard, okay, so I mean I'm assuming at this level everybody has heart. You don't get to that certain level without being hit hard enough or pushed hard enough physically to have been tested, right? I mean, it's probably something you discover in the amateurs well before someone becomes a professional, or
Yeah.
maybe.
Uh, of course, experience is always like number one. If you have experience in amateur, you're all. you are always advantaged.
It sounds like so. It sounds like most of your experience and disposition to being a trainer has come from learning from Freddie, right? I mean, you sort of emulated what you've learned from him and taken it. What are the things that you would say you do differently than Freddie? That you guys just do them in a different way than each
Yeah,
other?
my foundation is really from Freddie, you know, and Freddie have his own style, and he's very smart, like analyzing fighters. But yeah, and he is my foundation for my boxing training, and the rest I just learned from different fighters. I learned from Manny, the footwork, Miguel Coro. I learned from Tubolnikov. I learned from four rounders like Jose Ramirez when he was just starting. I learned from Zhou Shimin, Mark Magsayo. Those champions, like they have their own style. So I studied their style and I just try to improve and make them effective in their own style.
Now, when you get a 4 round fighter, a young fighter, I'm sure they have a lot of amateur experience, but are you looking to see what their style is, or are you thinking what their style can become? Because
Yeah,
you've seen such great styles, in your time
yes.
training.
Yes. I first I watch them and I analyze when they spar, and then if I see that his style is similar to this fighter or his movement is similar to this guy, then I add we try, we try in sparring. I teach them, I train them, and then we try it in sparring. If it works, then we continue doing it. If it doesn't work, sometimes they're not comfortable doing it, then I just don't push them to do it. So
Yeah,
we try different things. Yeah,
gotcha.
but they all have their own style. They're like no, everyone is unique.
Is it really important to stay fluid in that regard to make sure that because it sounds like there's so many times in boxing where as a trainer you have a vision of what it could be, and it's like it's not going to be that way. You got to sort of scrap it and adjust and be very fluid and willing to change. Is that fluidity sort of critical, being able to adjust as a trainer?
Yes, yes. You have like you because sometimes you change too much. You're gonna mess them up. It's you have to teach them whatever they're comfortable. You cannot change them like totally. But you can develop them, you can improve them, but I don't think you can change the fighter's style.
Yeah, and like you said, if you do, it can't happen from one fight to the next. They'd have to,
Yeah, it take years.
yeah,
Like even world champions, the first time you train world champions, you have to study them first before. Like it takes like how many camps before they really get what you try to teach them.
so then here's and I'm sure because you're involved in a lot of this. When like Miguel comes to you guys and you start training him, Miguel Cotto was a very very well established fighter. I mean, established to the point where he's kind of coming closer to retirement than he was to maybe like the middle of his career. What do you do when you get a guy like that? I mean, is it just how do you? I mean, do you try to improve anything? Is it just playing to his strengths? Like, how do you train a guy at that point in his career?
Yeah, I remember when he came to the gym, like uh, first time, and then Freddie said, "Who is Miguel Coro? What is Miguel Coro?" So when he was winning, knocking people out, what did he do? Just left hook. I said, just bring that left hook to the body, left hook to the head. Then that's how Freddie like train him. So every day, me and Freddie was was there watching. I was watching them train because I was Freddie's assistant for Miguel Coro. So I just watched them train left hook, and then the footwork.
Now,
And
I'm sorry.
Coro became world champion again.
When you're working as an assistant, what does that entail? I think I've talked to other guys and they said like, oh yeah, I was an assistant, and they said, essentially I'm doing a lot of, I have to carry the buckets, I have to do a lot of the dirty work, maybe helping the opponent and they're the sparring partner rather. But obviously the education you get is like tremendous. Like,
Yeah.
when you were an assistant, what did most of that entail doing?
Yeah, I do whatever Freddie want me to do. Holding the mitts, give him water, his no, sweat,
Yeah.
mop the floor, wrap hands. I just wait. I don't do things that they don't tell me. Like what I said, I just observe, listen, and learn from them.
How I always think about this because obviously there were a lot of great trainers throughout the years, and in the 80s, it seemed to be a lot of great trainers, but they started to get older. I like seeing, a situation like this where you learn everything from Freddie so that there's a legacy.
Hmm.
In 30, 40 years, Freddie's style will still be taught. You know,
Yeah.
how important do you think that is for boxing for guys like you who are willing to go in there and be students to, like a very great trainer and learning their process and then being able to do it?
Hmm. Yeah, it's I'm so blessed. Like I didn't even ask for this, but they gave me the opportunity. So I'm so blessed to be in this position. And like, again, I think it's the key is just to be patient. I think don't rush anything. Just be patient. Show up every day, no matter what's the weather's like. Like in the Philippines,
Yeah.
there's flood, there's typhoon, but you're there. Keep showing up. Same thing with fighters. Just show up every day. You learn. You get better.
Gotcha. Um, there's something about you though. I feel like it's ingrained in you. I can tell the level of patience and calmness to you. Like, have you been that way since like when you were a kid? Were you this calm and patient, or is that something that came from boxing?
I think it's just the experience, not just in boxing, in life too. Because we came from nothing. Always have problem. No food sometimes, no money, but we just have to have faith. That everything is gonna be okay. I think that's the reason why I'm always calm.
Yeah.
And boxing, of course, boxing like taught me a lot how to be calm, how to be patient, and like always, there's always hope. As long as you don't give up, there's always a chance to win in life, in boxing. Yeah, and just be nice and respect others.
That's good to hear because there are a lot of people who, if you ask them, hey, how do you become successful? How do you get ahead? Be nice isn't the thing they say. It's like the opposite. They're like, oh, you
Yeah.
gotta take. But in boxing, that rule does, at least with trainers. What I've noticed is every trainer
Hmm.
who's had success generally follows that rule of being kind, respectful. The guys who don't do that tend to fall off. Now with
Yeah,
promoters, it might be
because
different, but with trainers, no.
I don't know. I think promoters too. Like if you, no matter how much talent you have, if you don't have the stage to show it, then you'll never get discovered. But if you are nice and respectful, people will give you a chance. I didn't even know that I can train fighters. I can be a good trainer. But because I'm nice, I'm helpful, then they give me a chance. And then that chance, I was able to show them that I'm good with this job, and I keep getting better. I think.
No, I mean, yeah, you absolutely have. So I think it's so crazy because that might, yeah, I'm trying to put myself in your shoes and to all of a sudden get this opportunity and come out. You have, one of the greatest fighters and trainers telling you, yeah, we want you to start training. We want you to start doing it independently. And it sounds like you're kind of like, well, let me learn how to really do this first and figure it out. There probably was a lot of having to overcome doubt when you first started, right?
Yeah, it's very sometimes like the disappointments there, it will come. Like you think you know what you're doing, you're the best, and then when you lose, it's very, it hurts. Especially with the fighters, I train fighters because I know they have goal, because when they become a world champion, they will be able to provide for their family. 'Cause in their family, how many people they can help,
Yeah,
like that's in my head, in my mind. It's always like for them, once they become a champion, they can help a lot of people, and they can help me too. So
absolutely.
that's in my mind. My priority in boxing is always the fighters.
Absolutely. So when a fighter, and I ask this about everybody, it's the toughest part probably, and as you said, it's very hard when a fighter loses and you feel for the fighter. You wanted to do all you could for
Mm-hmm.
them. What is the
Mm-hmm.
conversation after a loss? What does that look like?
Yeah, before I talk to the fighters right away, like give them advice, but I think it's better to just let them be first, you know, let them realize, wait until they're calm, like talk to them after a couple of days, you know, and then they're gonna understand better. They'll listen to you more.
Yeah.
But when they're upset, and then because sometimes they just decide whatever they want, like they don't think. Even after the win, too.
Yeah?
You cannot decide, and when you are too happy, or
Yeah.
too, like, if you're upset, just have to wait, like, to settle down, and then you can think better.
So there's kind of like a 2 day rule after a fight about, but
Two
like,
days, 3 days, or sometimes they don't talk to you anymore. So
God, yeah.
just let them be.
Well, that's
It's this is like, at the end of the day, they have to decide for themselves.
yeah.
For me, if the fighter, like, are not happy, then I just respect them. It's their life. It's their decision.
You know what's funny is I wasn't even thinking about it the way you're saying it, but I think I understand. Like a fighter after a loss could have frustration with the trainer.
Hmm.
They could be frustrated,
Yeah,
yeah, and want to say like, "Hey, I don't, I'm upset with you. I don't know if I want to work with you." So you sort of have to give them space to figure out all of that as well.
yeah, yeah. It's like me. Always give my everything, in training for the fighters. So I always want them to succeed, because I'm a trainer. I can last until maybe 60, 70.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of fighters that are willing to train with me also.
little change.
But as a fighter, they only have few years, in their career, so they need to find what is best for them.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Trainers will last well after a fighter retires. They'll
Hmm.
not just that, you can have multiple fighters at the same time. So as opposed to the fighter where boxing to him is this one thing, for you it can be multiple and it can be longer. And it's a different
Yeah,
experience.
and sometimes the style of the trainers doesn't fit to the fighter. So sometimes there's a lot of fighters too that they come train, and like I feel like it doesn't work. I'm honest to them also. and I don't hold them. Because I want them to be successful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you want to have a good, I mean, at the end of the day, you don't want to burn bridges because a fighter and
Yeah.
trainer can
Mm,
disconnect and still have a mutually respectful relationship going forward. Like it can be
yeah.
done.
Yeah. I met so many trainers and fighters. If you notice, like I get along with everyone, even when they're on my opposite corner. I just do my job outside the ring. Outside the fight, I get along with everybody.
Yeah, that's also an interesting thing with boxing is you could be very good friends with another trainer, but that
Hmm.
doesn't mean the time won't come where you have two guys who have to fight. The day will come where
Yeah.
you'll be in opposite corners of each other, and but you may just as quickly need a favor. You may need a sparring partner, or you may need
Yeah.
it's
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I just wanna go to the fight with, no worries, say hi to everyone
yeah.
and like tell them see you in the opposite corner.
Let me ask you this: what being a very nice person? How is that a challenge as a trainer to be such a nice person? Are there challenges that come with that?
Well, it's good, but sometimes bad too, because people they look at you like an easy target. There's a lot of people that try to take advantage. But I learned now also. I'm, older, wiser. I'm still nice, but I know how to manage it now. Before I just hard.
Get it?
So,
Um, I managed a fighter, and I when I was managing him during COVID, there were no fights, and
hmm
a guy in Mexico said, "Hey, you can come down and fight in Mexico," and
hmm
and it's sanctioned, and you can get your guy a fight instead of him waiting for however long COVID will be, which was a pretty long time. And so, obviously, I spent quite a bit of money to get him down to Mexico and get him the fight, only to find out that BoxRec wouldn't record it as a fight, and everybody knew that, but me. I was the fool, right? And
uh,
that was a real wake up moment where it's like, you know what, you can't be so naive. You can be kind, you can be nice, but you can't be so
yeah,
naive. You need to not trust people so blindly because you can get exploited in boxing.
yeah. But that's part of process. It's like life. If it never happened, you will never know.
True.
It's like going to school. You have to pay for your tuition fee.
Yeah.
Then you learn something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's fair.
once you get that experience, next time you can use it.
What
Like you already know. You already know what's gonna happen before you do it.
what would you say is like the best lesson that you learned in your time in the States training all these guys? What was like the number one lesson you learned that you take with you now every day in your job?
One is never get comfortable. You know, if you think you are better or you're the best, even with the fighters, if they think they're the best, there's always someone working hard. Because when you are the best, your opposition will prepare for you harder. So when you're the best, you have to work harder because you're gonna fight the best also. Same thing with trainers. Like there's so many things to learn, so you have to keep learning, keep training, learning, and like how do I call this? Uh, yeah, I can't say.
It's okay. It's all good.
Yeah, just just never get comfortable.
Yeah.
When you're comfortable, it's not. There's no progress. You are stagnant, like steady.
Here's an interesting one. As far as training fighters goes, what would you say was your most successful way of, or your most successful time implementing a game plan or a skill into a fighter? Like you tried to teach him a new move or a new approach to fighting and got the best results?
What do you mean?
Like, say you have a fighter who maybe he's an inside fighter,
Mhm.
and you want him to step back and work on the jab, and you got to sort of change his style. Wait, like, have you had a
Yeah,
time where that worked out really well, like with a specific fighter?
yeah, many times. Yeah, many times. Because when they study your style and then they do the opposite, works better. When you're fighting like forward guy, like aggressive guy, sometimes if you fight them the same way, they get frustrated.
Gotcha. So you mean like if you have a come forward guy, an aggressive fighter, if you're
Mhm.
aggressive towards him, it'll throw him.
Yeah, like like smother them,
That makes
so they
sense.
get frustrated because that's their style. They want you to run. They
Yeah,
want you to box. So
they
or if you're fighting a boxer, you box too, but the fight's just gonna be boring. But whoever is the most impatient one is gonna lose the fight. But just boring. It's
yeah.
not
Well,
interesting.
that sounds like a lot of there were so many Cuban fighters like that, and now
Mhm,
there are some now that are very like much more aggressive. But I think of like Rigondeaux, and
mhm.
or
Yeah.
Rigondeaux, and he like so talented, but he's had all the patience in the world. So if the other guy wasn't throwing,
Mhm.
he didn't feel any need to create
I
action.
think I think when he was younger, he was aggressive, like because he's quick and he got power. I think you know, like later on, because he's a very good boxer, slick fighter, and he don't want to create like more danger
Yeah,
for himself when he fights. He just want to win because in like Cubans are really good amateur boxers. They know how to hit and don't get hit.
yeah, yeah. They can win on just connecting shots, not necessarily brutalizing somebody. Yeah, but if you want to be
Yeah.
Manny Pacquiao, though, right? You gotta let your hands go. Like if you,
It's not that easy.
yeah, I
Like
know.
he's the he's the only one who can do that, because he's like a machine. His footwork, his combinations, he throws a lot of punches. Me when I shadow box, I throw like three, four punches. I get exhausted.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that's why he's a unique fighter, one in a million.
Yeah, I think his coordination too. I think between his feet and his hands
Hmm.
are so fluid that he like
Yeah,
the stuff he does. I think a lot of other fighters would be off balance trying to pull it off. The
hmm,
jumping in and out and letting the hands
yeah,
go.
yeah. Because you see, he can throw combinations. Even his feet is off the ground.
Yeah,
That's 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 very very special.
yeah. No, that's. I don't think I've seen anything even really close to it. I mean, there are
Hmm.
some talented guys, but I don't know. And he's got. I was talking to another trainer about this. You would think that at this age, it would catch up with him. You lose speed with age, and you can't really your legs won't be as explosive. But it's still good enough that he can compete with like championship fighters now. I mean, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, no, because he was uh, fast. He was very fast. His footwork. He throws a lot of punches. I got older. He's not very fast, but he's still fast. He's not the same, but he's still fast.
Yeah, I think now he's just like normal
That's why.
fast.
Yeah, now he's still got it.
Yeah, no, he's doing his
Look at
thing.
him showing his son when he shadow box, showing him the foot movement, like unbelievable. 47.
Do, do you think? I usually don't ask questions like this, but do you think there's pressure for his son? I mean, when your dad is that great, there has to be some pressure to live up to
Of
that
course,
name.
too much pressure. Too
Yeah.
much pressure. It's hard, but I like the fact that his son is trying, and he's a smart kid. He know that he will never be like his dad,
Yeah.
but he is trying his best to be better, you know, better version of himself.
Listen, if you come from, such a successful family and still want to go and fight, I think there should be respect for that.
Yeah, and just stepping in the ring with 8 ounce gloves, no headgears, it's not easy.
No, no. And I could tell you, if I were him, I probably wouldn't even consider being in the ring. So I agree. I think a ton of respect for him, obviously.
Yeah, that's the thing, like we always say, if I were him, if I were you, but we are a different person, you have your own mentality. I have
Absolutely. How do
we,
you?
we like we're not happy with other people because they don't want to do what we want them to do.
That's part
Yeah,
of.
why can't just be happy, to other people when they're happy, we just support them. They don't bother you, they don't bother us. Like
Yeah,
there's a lot of people that hate boxers, they hate athletes because they're doing this, they're doing that, but they keep watching them. That's why it's good. It's good
yeah,
for us.
right. Sometimes if they hate you enough, I think somebody once said that it might have been like Muhammad Ali, or it might have been Floyd Mayweather, but it's like, hey, if you don't like me, buy a ticket. Maybe I'll lose. Why don't you tune in?
Yeah, yeah, because they want to see him lose the fight,
Yeah,
but they buy tickets, they buy the fight.
yeah, and they keep doing it every time. They keep coming back and buying the ticket. But how do you? I won't keep you for too much longer. But when you have a kid in such a unique situation like that, how do you keep that pressure off? Because it's unnecessarily high, right? How do you keep the
Yeah,
pressure of being him out of the fighting?
just make them understand, that once they accept, the reality that they're just the people will talk bad about them, people will watch them, and just just accept it, and then just work, train harder, yeah, train, just give your best, then just accept the outcome, whatever it is, and learn from it, get better and better,
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
until as long as you don't quit, you get better. As long as you don't quit, you don't die, you'll get better.
That's right. Marvin, thank you so much. I'm super grateful that you made the time to talk to me, and I'm going to keep watching you and following you, and I expect you're only going to continue to grow and get better. It's just wildly
I think,
impressive.
yeah, I think I'm just gonna get better, but I'm not gonna grow.
What do you? Took me a second on that one.
I'm 42.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Marvin, thank you so much, man. Have a great night, and thanks for joining me.
All right, thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Oh, my gandang gabi po. Right?
Yeah, I came from the Philippines.